Morning, everybody. Michelle is here. Michelle is here on a Saturday, January 24th, 2026, Saturday. You know what? I said I'm going to keep my robe on a little longer this morning. Man, I just, it's Saturday, and because I'm on top of everything that I'm supposed to do, as far as my accountabilities and responsibilities, I can sit around in my robe, a little longer this morning. It's not as cool because, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable actually, because this is some thick, it keeps me warm. Trust me on that. So anyway, I wanted to come on through and do a little rambling. I had a little bit of breakfast and of course my coffee. And I heard there was a headline that came out about the USA leaving the WHO, World Health Organization. In other words, it says that the U.S. formally withdraws from the World Health Organization. And what does that actually mean? Well, it means a little bit more than what's being told. And whether the USA knew about it, the WHO organization knew about it, who knows? Because what is happening is everything is up for grabs. Okay, each individual entity, whether it's a continent, a country, or state, or city, or a town, are attempting to grab hold of humanity, meaning they want to, in other words, turning everything into many MINI dictatorships. So what do I mean by that? And it's the same thing with, that's why we have so many artificial intelligences. That's why we have so many internet browsers. That's why we have so many different entities of potential grabbing a hold of a segment of our population, because it's 10 billion of us. It's almost 10 billions of us. And what is happening is everybody is these entities are looking to grab. So that's why that's happening in ICE versus state police officers, local police officers. Those entities are attempting to control all of us, but they want to be controlling all of us in many structures. In other words, we have imagine having a large balloon, okay, Earth, and then within that large balloon there are smaller balloons. And, whether they're large, medium, or small, they're all balloons within the larger picture of the balloon. Okay, each one of those balloons, the large, medium, or large, want to contain you and control you. Look at this visually and look at it as a metaphor. So the fact that we withdrew is a matter of controlling the USA population. That's why. What our dictatorship is doing is attempting to isolate us. And once you isolate people, guess what? You have control over them. Okay? North Korea, we know nothing about what's going on there. And we don't know, and because the media, these major medias are not fully disclosing to us what's really going on. A lot of them know, because they're owned by billionaires. They're all over here, all over somewhere in some place where they, like I said, they're having great meals, they're dancing, they're discussing and blah, blah, blah. But then there's behind the scene meetings going on that none of them will share or know, or will share with us, I should say. We'll share with the media, but the media, parts of the media, the head of the media knows what's going on because they're there. We have these billionaires are there. In other words, they're discussing, it's the same similar metaphor. You have a balloon of people all there, celebrities are there with their pedigree, that's what they're looking to protect. You have all walks of life that are supposedly of an influential type. You have, like I said, you may have these, you do have the actresses and actors, these business leaders, these billionaires, media, and I mean, countries, they're all in this balloon. But secretly, there's other balloon meetings going on that none of them know about. And I told you the media, some of these major news outlets ought to be prosecuted themselves for withholding information, tampering with evidence. But hey, this is what's happening, and it's so the web is so confusing on purpose. But if you kind of think it through, you can probably get through this web of lies and manipulation and deception. Remember, I told you there's a public facing of what they're telling us on these screens, our cell phones, on these screens, laptops, computers, however we are getting this information. But, if you're not in those spaces, you're not going to be able to connect the dots. Okay. And a lot of people are left out, even though we have a dictatorship-like administration. As I told you, we have been in a dictatorship-like reality since the 40s with the dropping of those 2 nuclear bombs, and possibly before that. Before, with the first war back in the 1700s. But we manipulated and lied and put out these so-called democracy papers, our Constitution, our amendments, and, our declarations, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Not understanding that most of those people who are supposedly involved in that couldn't read or write. Come on now. But again, the damage has been done because a lot of people refuse to think for themselves. They like the comfort of having somebody else do the thinking for them. They like that. And unfortunately, because we have allowed that type of behavior to go on for decades upon decades, thousands of years, millions of years, who knows? It's just going to continue. So there's a cause and effect and consequences of our U.S. Government withdrawing from the World Health Organization. It's all about how they can control who, our USA current administration wants to contain all of us and know everything that we are doing. They want to know what we're talking about. They want to know who we're talking to. That's why, and then we had this TikTok deal. It's the same thing. It's about containment, control, monitoring. What are they saying about me? Who are they talking to? We're watched all over. I told you with these electronic devices. I'm not fearful of that. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm doing the best I can to be as an independent thinker as I can and just share what I can. I know I'm being shadow banned. Come on. I knew that in 2022. In late 2022, I knew something was happening. Okay, so that's why I said that artificial intelligence is a consequence. Okay, they got enough data on all of us from the inception of the so-called internet, and now that's how they are able to, and sometimes sadly we are predictable. We're in, and with religion is the major factor in restriction of thinking. Because you do the same rituals. You get up in the morning, you get on your knees and beg, and then you go to bed and get on your knees. Before you go to bed, you get on your knees and beg. Religion keeps you contained. So just follow what I'm saying. Think it through for yourself. All of these entities, whether it's the USA, the World Health Organization, whether it's CIA, the military, NASA, all of them want to contain you. And they are able to do so. Why? Because there's like 10 billion of us. There's no way in the world the USA can handle 10 billion people. There's no way in the world that the World Health Organization can handle 10 billion people. So now they have to split us up, put us in, these circle cities of dictatorship where nobody will ever know what happened to you. And so a lot of people, I know someone said something, and that's why I can tell people are not really thinking, kind of reacting. They're like believing that there's no issue with the planet and the structure of the planet and what the planet can hold and what the planet can sustain. A lot of people are just not thinking this through. And I blame it on, of course, I blame it on the pseudoscientists, but I blame it on ourselves. We thought going to a university or going to an elementary school or going to a charter school was all we needed. We never thought about self-education and thinking it through and making sure does it add up. We should have been asking these kind of questions, decades upon decades upon decades upon decades ago. Our ancestors. Okay, remember, we are the descendants of our ancestors. We are not our ancestors. We are the descendants. Okay, so that makes us accountable and responsible. When we say we are our ancestors, that's taking away our accountability and responsibilities. Okay, you just got to think it all through. So this move with the USA withdrawing from World Health Organization it has more about containment, control. Okay, and that's what dictators do. They're trying to keep us in a ball of their control. They don't want any. That's why it was an issue with TikTok, because TikTok, they claim, TikTok is using our information. That's a possibility, but what it is they want to rein in all of us and know who we're talking to, what we're talking about. But instead of making that a secret, that has been going on for thousands of years, possibly, they're putting it out in the open now, and a lot of it is too late. But I'm still encouraged because I know a lot of people are snapping out of it and helping others to snap out of it. I give so much, I give so much thanks to people that are attempting to wake up their influencers, wake up their followers to what is happening. Because once enough of us collectively come together and be creative, we can solve this. But it's going to take some blood, sweat, and tears, metaphor. Sometimes literally, blood, sweat, and tears. And then on top of that, we have to contend with the climate destruction as well. So don't be fooled. Everything, what they're attempting, each entity, whether it's the USA, the European Union, NATO, which is, a lot of people are discussing NATO. They don't know the history of NATO, Everything is about containing us. Law enforcement, they want to contain us. Then you have ICE that wants to contain us. So there's going to be a combustion between all of these entities attempting to control us. You know what I mean? Keep us all contained. It's going to be, so that's what usually happens when you're going to have a clash, and then eventually a global destruction, unlike anything we've ever seen. It's because these dictators, whether they're in law enforcement, whether they're in the government, whether they're in your job, whether they're in your neighborhood, at your homeowners associations, it's about containing you, controlling you, and using you as their piggy banks, using you as their commodity. Snap out of it, get a grip, trust yourself, apologize to yourself, and get to work. Trust me, I will be back.